Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the FCS Football Channel, and today we're back with another match preview for Manchester United versus Brentford. Now before we get into the preview, I just want to say please do ignore the cold sore I've got on my lip. There's nothing I can do about it. Of course, also, before we get into the preview, of course there will be a watch along for this game. The stream will start at 7 with kickoff at 7:30. However, also it's important to mention that this game may have to be postponed due to COVID-19 after a lot of the Manchester United first team has tested positive for COVID-19. Now, we don't know how many players or who these players are, but apparently members of the Manchester United first team has tested positive for COVID-19 since we played Norwich. So we're unsure whether this game will definitely be going ahead. But that being said, let's get into the preview. And where did Manchester United come into this game sat in the Premier League table? Now, we do come in sat in 5th place, having picked up 10 points from our last 15. Of course, there's two under Ralph Rangnick, being that 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. And then in our last game, beating Norwich 1-0 thanks to a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. And what was a fairly poor game. We weren't at our very best. We were actually quite poor, and it was a very similar performance to what we kind of saw and expected under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Michael Carrick. Brentford, on the other hand, coming to this game sat in 10th, having picked up 8 points from their last 15, having just beaten Watford 2-1 thanks to a brilliant end to the game, scoring 2 goals in the last, I think, 10 minutes. And there was like 95, well, from between the 85th and 95th minute. So it was a very, very good end to that game for Brentford. But Watford did have them on the ropes for a long period of that game. So we should come into this game confident that we can get all 3 points. Now, of course, we did play Brentford in pre-season. That game finished 2-2. But look, that's pre-season. Both teams won at their best. So it's not really a game I believe we can take much from when trying to analyse this game. We know Brentford are a good team. It's just about how good we can be. And if we are at our best, we can, of course, beat this Brentford team. Now, before we get into team news, there's a player I want to speak about, and that is Marcus Rashford. For me, Marcus Rashford needs to be dropped. I don't think he's in good form whatsoever. I think he's playing awfully right now. And I don't know why he gets protected so much. I think he's been very, very wasteful. And he's a player that I think on his day can be fantastic, but I think he's massively overhyped. And I compare Marcus Rashford and the treatment Marcus Rashford gets to the likes of Anthony Martial. Martial, who after 2 or 3 bad games, is turned on and is slated. Well, Rashford, I don't think he's been good for about 9 months. And yet he's still starting games, still being like, oh, it's just poor form. And to me, it's kind of, when does this poor form just become, he's not as good as a lot of people make out? Because I don't think he's that good. And I'm going to give you a hint. I'm not starting him. Like I've been saying for weeks, I don't think he should be starting games. I think he's wasteful with the ball. And if he is going to keep starting, he needs to pick his game up. I don't care about any of the excuses he may have. Oh, he's not fully recovered from injury, this, that, or the other. If you're not fully recovered, well, then you shouldn't be playing. If you're not good enough, you shouldn't be playing. And Marcus Rashford falls into that second category 100%. Let's hope he's back at his very best, but I very much doubt it. Now, moving on to team news. Ivan Toney is out for Brentford. He tested positive for COVID-19, so he's definitely out for this game. When it comes to Manchester United, Rafael Varane, Edinson Cavani, same sort of statement, I guess, as has been the case for the last couple of weeks. They're in training, but they're not. They're most likely not match fit. I doubt they'll even be on the bench, so that's why they make the list. Obviously, Pogba's got his thigh injury. We know Martial has got his knee injury. We assume Wan-Bissaka is still out with the same injury. While Victor Lindelof, I'm not sure. Obviously, he got forced off with an injury or with a concern, or a chest concern, against Norwich. And I haven't heard any updates. Fingers crossed he's okay. Whether or not he is okay, is available for this game, I personally would not play him and risk him. I think there's some things more important than football. And him potentially not being 100% isn't something I would risk when we've got players like Eric Bailly that can come in. Obviously, we don't, like I said earlier, we don't know who has tested positive for COVID-19, so we haven't been able to add them to the list. But obviously, those who test positive are also going to be out for this game. Now, moving on to the team I believe Ralf Rangnick will play today. David De Gea in goal. Ralf Rangnick has said he's our number one. He's credited David De Gea for the way he played against Norwich and how he won us the game. How he got that clean sheet for himself rather than it earned as a team. Back four, Dalot, Bailly, Shaw and Telles. I think Dalot and Telles are playing, well, maybe not amazing. I didn't think it was amazing against Norwich, but they're doing all right. Wan-Bissaka, he's not fit, so that's Dalot keeping his place regardless of how he's performing. And with Telles, I don't think he'd be bad enough to drop him, and I'm still not 100% sure how fit Luke Shaw really is. I think he will stick with Fred and McTominay. I think he likes them. I think out of everyone in our last game, they weren't terrible, although they are, at the same time, they are responsible for how poorly we played. Because realistically, the job of a midfielder in the midfield is to get the ball down and get your team playing. And we never really got playing against Norwich. So I guess you could put that down to McTominay and Fred, but I thought they were two of the better players in that game. I think he will stick with Bruno Fernandes, Jadon Sancho, Ronaldo and Marcus Rashford as a front four. Or like I keep on saying during the watch along, I don't think Bruno Fernandes entirely suits playing on that left-hand side. I think he'd be much more suited to the role Marcus Rashford plays. And I think Rashford would probably prefer to be moved back out to that left-hand side where he's going to have a little bit more time, a little less players around him, so he can take players on. And when he beats a man, he hasn't then got to beat two other players to create space. He beats one, and you're going to have space to either get a shot away or deliver a cross. I think that's why Marcus Rashford got put out to the left-hand side originally, because he weren't good enough to play as that number 9. And I think he is struggling as that number 9 since Ralf Rangnick has come in. So I think maybe swap Bruno and Rashford if you are going to insist on playing Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. Although they were both dreadful against Norwich. Moving on to my team, I've gone for the same back four and goalkeeper. I've actually then stuck Nemanja Matic in alongside Fred. I think Fred offers the legs and Matic will help control the game a little bit more. And let's see how he gets on in this Ralf Rangnick system as that double pivot next to Fred. I've actually then put Donny van de Beek on that right-hand side in over Bruno Fernandes. I just don't think Bruno Fernandes is at the top of his game. Give him a bit of time on the bench. Maybe bring him on and be like, right, you've been benched. You're not a guaranteed starter in this team like he has been under Michael Carrick and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And be like, Bruno, you prove you are playing well enough to be in this team, or Donny's going to play. So that's what I want to see. Jadon Sancho, I think he played really well. I was surprised and shocked he came off against Norwich, especially as the first sub, given how badly Marcus Rashford had played. So he stays out on the right-hand side. And then I've gone for a front two of Cristiano Ronaldo and Mason Greenwood. Bruno Fernandes, like I said, could potentially play alongside of Cristiano Ronaldo in this front two. But I think Greenwood deserves a chance. Obviously scored against Young Boys. I think it'd be interesting to see how Ronaldo and Mason Greenwood play together. If Martial was fit, Martial will go in there for me. If not, Martial, Cavani. But both of them don't look like they will be fit. So I'm going to go with Mason Greenwood. Now, just on the game, look, it's a must win, isn't it? We have to keep on winning. We haven't been great in our last two. Well, we haven't been great. Well, we weren't great against Norwich. We weren't amazing against Crystal Palace, apart from that opening half hour. So it'll be interesting to see how we play. Is it going to be more like they opening half hour against Crystal Palace? Or will it be more the same from what we saw against Norwich? Let's hope it's more about that opening half hour against Crystal Palace, because if we are, then we can tear teams apart. I truly, truly believe that. And I think this is going to be a close game. I think Brentford have what it takes to cause issues for this Manchester United team, but with Ivan Toney missing, I think that's a big, big miss for Brentford. I think that will see Manchester United win this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Manchester United win. Anyway, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. that would be greatly appreciated. And let me know your predictions for this game. Now, of course, if this game is postponed, I will try and let you guys know ASAP. But obviously, we'll have to wait until official and more news comes out about that. Anyway, like I said, thank you all for watching. Please do tune in for the watch along. Details are on my side. And I'll see you all in the next one. In a bit. Peace.